What's the stupidest thing you ever said that genuinely made you question your intelligence? If there are adult diapers, why aren't there adult strollers? My husband, looking at me like he regrets ever meeting me. You mean wheelchairs? I was on a long train trip, gazing out the window, when I said to my friend, I feel like every railroad crossing gate we've passed since I've been looking has been down. What are the odds I have a PhD not in trains? You hit me in the cervix. I am a man. I meant sternum. Still have to shake that memory out of my head sometimes. I said it would be nice if we had a mirror app. I made a dentist appointment yesterday. They gave me a date and asked if 10:50 was a good time. I replied with assuming that is 10:50 a.m. Not too much ice please, don't wanna water it down. It was literally just a cup of ice water. Got introduced to identical twins. First thing I said was, wow, how can you guys tell each other apart? I don't know if this counts because praise the Lord I did not say it aloud. The scene, me, a college senior still living in a dorm doing my weekly snacks and root beer run at the local Walmart. The thought, man, how do people with a whole family grocery shop? Like what do you do if you buy more than you can fit in your arms? Carts. That's what carts are for. Had a friend in college whose sister was taking an ASL course. He started asking a question and I tried so hard to stop him because I could see the wheels spinning in his head. He asked, so can you read Braille? It gives me testosterone. Serotonin. I meant serotonin. One time I said I wish I could swim in the air. My friend said, you mean flying? What is the name of the dog from Scooby-Doo? Claimed that the slowest animal is probably an enema. I misspoke and meant to say anemone. You'll never forget the looks of confusion from my coworkers. My manager's manager asked me to ballpark the percentage of time I was spending on each of my 3 projects. I confidently told him, 75 on Project A, 25 on Project B, and 25 on Project C. I heard my cubicle neighbor laughing. Didn't immediately click that she was laughing at me. Manager's manager paused a moment, then in a very kind and patient voice like he was speaking to a Labrador with a learning disability, so, I'd like those numbers to add up to 100. Can you try again? Then it dawned on me. Edit, typo. Me. Hi, how are you them? Good, how are you? Me. Good, how are you? Years ago a coworker and I were discussing how many Japanese people apparently have a KFC dinner for Christmas. We then wondered what do they do for Thanksgiving? And began attempting to Google it. Spent quite a few minutes trying to search it up, remarking to each other in confusion that we couldn't find anything at all. I then realized how incredibly stupid we were. Okay, here goes. I was going to be late for my psychology class. The teacher had already warned me not to be late. What do I see in my rearview mirror on the way to class? You guessed it, I was speeding and it was police lights. So I pull over and I give the officer my driver's license, reg and ins papers, and he seemed very friendly and nice, and he says I will be right back. Pure Goldie. That's when I got real dumb. I said, OBTW, will you write me a note for my teacher? I've already been warned not to be late today. I know this is making me late for sure. He replied with a big smile, oh, I am going to write you a note, alright. Yep, I was that dumb. I asked what half of 200 was. When I was given looks of you're joking right, I quickly realized what an idiot I really was. Years ago I was watching a rugby game with the 4 or 5 others in my flat over a few quiet beers. The game was being commentated by a sort of famous ex-rugby player, who was known for weird verbal gaffes, accidental double entendres and misspeaking. Some amusing examples I found. Your first instinct when you see a man on the ground is to go down on him. Andy Ellis, the 21-year-old, who turned 22 a few weeks ago, and it's all tied up at 14-13. Anyway, after having a laugh or two at his expense already, he said something along the lines of this game is being played at a frenetic pace, which I alone laughed heartily at. Frenetic, I said loudly in case the others hadn't quite twigged. Did he mean frantic? Or energetic? I'd pick one man, ha ha ha. No one really said anything, and I got the funny feeling I just made a twat of myself. Fortunately for me, the commentator soon made another gaffe of some sort. For example, strangely, in slow motion replay, the ball seemed to hang in the air for even longer and everyone forgot and moved on. I quietly looked the word up and realized I got taught a word that night that means fast and energetic. It's been over 20 years and I've long since lost touch with those guys, but I still remember. I was at home in my apartment alone and cleaning up and realized I hadn't plugged the vacuum in. Come on John, I said out loud to myself, which was weird since I never talked to myself out loud, and the worst part was it came out, Simon Jane on like how do I call myself, by name and then pronounce it wrong.